Hello and welcome to Secrets of Organ Playing podcast.
This is a show dedicated to helping you become a better organist.
We're your hosts, Vidas
And Usha Motuzaitė Pinkevičienė.
We have over 30 years of experience of playing the organ.
And we've been teaching thousands of organists online from 89 countries since 2011.
So now let's jump in and get started with the podcast for today.
We hope you'll enjoy it.
Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Usha.
Let's start episode 743 of Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. This question was sent by Trina and she writes, Hello Vidas, thank you for your wonderful advice and tips you give on Secrets of Organ Playing. I look forward to the articles and appreciate them very much. I have also played the pipe organ for many years and have gone through the Canadian Royal Conservatory of Music program. Since getting married over 30 years ago and raising a large family and being a homemaker, my time with music was more spent with our children learning different musical instruments rather than on the organ. Now that they are grown, I am an organist in our church. I really enjoy it. I find you cover many aspects of organ playing very thoroughly in your articles and look forward to your new coaching program. I think the dream I have for playing is how to improvise and transpose hymns with ease. I am wondering how a person can do it with confidence and professionally. That is the only part of my training that was not encouraged, and I feel very insecure with how to go about it. Thank you. Trina from Alberta, Canada. So what Trina is writing about that she needs help with transposing and improvising hymns, which is a big part of church organists' activity. Yeah.
Yes, it's very important for church organists to be able freely transpose hymns and improvise.
I mean, you can get away without that. You could write down your hymns. Imagine you have 6 or 5 or 4. The smallest number of hymns is 4 probably. 4 hymns for the church service, and then you know that you need to transpose some of them with singers or choir, and then you write down all the parts. Let's say half step up, half step down, whole tone up, whole tone down, or even minor and major third up or down.
Well, don't do that because it will take a lot of time, and instead of spending time writing it down, you better spend the time of practicing how to do it, because actually there are 3 basic ways how to transpose a given piece of music. So
shall we talk about each of them in turn?
Yes, we can do that. So the most common way is probably to transpose it by a given interval, but this is the tricky part, because if let's say it's transposed by half step or whole step or major, minor, third, then it's still okay. You can still think in those intervals. It's possible, although it's not that easy. But imagine if an interval is wider. The wider interval gets, the harder it is to transpose. So there are 2 other ways how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell about one of them, another one?
Maybe you will continue, Osha, because I will come back to all of those methods and do some summary of all of them and like a sort of simplification of what you're talking about. But you first describe each of them in turn.
Yes, another thing and the easiest part, at least for me, is to transpose by half step. Just simply, in your mind, changing the key signatures. Let's say if you are in C major and you want to play it half step higher, you just write for yourself in your mind 7 sharps. That's what I would do. You know that every note will have sharp next to it, and that's it. you do it. Or let's see, also other keys that are very easy to transpose is like from E flat major to E major, or like A minor to A flat minor, and things like that. So by half a step, it's usually very easy to transpose just by changing key signatures. Of course, you have a little bit adjust, if, let's say in original key it had a sharp and, it goes, higher, you need to think about double, sharp and things like this.
If the original key has flats, right, and you need to transpose half a step up, then
they
this
become natural.
yes.
And things like this, but it's not difficult,
Or
to
natural
do it.
becomes a sharp, right?
Yeah.
Or if you go downward, then your flat becomes double flat, or natural becomes a flat,
Yes.
depending on
Yes, that's
your
right.
key.
And the last, way to transpose, and I know that it's Vidas' favorite way to transpose, is by changing key.
Clef.
Yes, clef. Because, the key in Lithuanian is the same as we use, well, anyway. It's the same word. That's why I get confused sometimes. So you just change clef. And in order to do that, of course, you need to know more than two clefs, because usually we use what? Treble clef and bass clef. But for this you need to remember that there are 5 other C clefs for like each line of the staff. We have different clefs. You have soprano clef, mezzo soprano clef, alto clef, tenor clef, and baritone clef. And you can accordingly just change that clef in your mind at the beginning of a piece, and you will have a new key.
Right. So what? Oh, there are other keys, other clefs too.
Of course, but well, I'm talking about these 7 clefs that are most commonly used. Yes.
Because there are F clefs, like the bass clef, but this bass clef could be also positioned on any line of the stave, theoretically, right?
Do you often do that when you transpose?
No, yes and no, because sometimes this F clef coincides with the C clef. Sometimes.
Well, because there is another
And
treble clef too.
Yes, and two additional treble clefs. Yeah, one is French descant clef, which is written on the
First line.
First line, yeah.
So basically, I think for me it's enough to have those like 5 C clefs and bass clef and treble clef.
But for others, you could have 10 altogether. 5 C clefs, 2 G clefs, right? Treble and the French clef, and then 3 F clefs. All right. But I remember, if you want to practice method of changing clefs, you need to practice it. Practice every. I found out that every clef takes 1 month to master. If you go back to your childhood, if you ever started studying music, right, at an early age, how long did you have to struggle before you knew the treble clef very well, for the right hand part, right? Not for the left hand, not the bass, just the right hand. Oh, sure.
Well, I learned them very fast, so I'm not a good example because I'm not like...
For me, it took 1 month.
Well, my piano teacher told that she have never had a student who learned clefs so fast. Both treble and bass. But it wasn't so easy with C clefs. And
what about bass clef, you say?
Also
easy.
Yes, also very easy.
For me, again, bass clef also took 1 month to learn. But C clefs also need practice, and And if you have just one line, one voice, right, of C clef, spend 1 month on it, and another month with another C clef, and another. But the problem is that if you have two lines of music with different clefs, that's another skill, right?
Yes, it's
Your
yes, yeah.
brains need to do multitasking.
Yes, and my students, my solfege students hated me because I would give them as assignment to sing two-part exercises in C clefs, and sometimes there would be, two different C clefs, let's say alto and tenor.
And in the middle of the exercise, the changes could occur in clefs too. Clefs could change also position on the stave, and instead of the bass clef, you could have tenor clef. Instead of the soprano clef, you could have alto clef. And that is another skill, to change clefs within the
Yes, but
piece.
it was really natural for people, let's say in Baroque period or even in Romantic period, because in classical period as well, because like vocal music was always written in C clefs, using C clefs
Because
for each voice.
soprano singers always used their own clef. They didn't use treble clef. Sometimes they did
Yes, but
in later times, in Baroque period, but in Renaissance times, they always had their own clef. And alto had their own clef.
yes, and it helped also to save paper because using different clefs, you would avoid, additional staff lines,
Ledger lines.
ledger lines. Yes, so it was sort of economical way of using paper, and if you are a soprano singer, then you would know probably just two clefs, and that would be enough for you: treble clef and soprano C clef. That's it. But this skill actually is very useful for organists. And why are we talking so much about transposition? Because transposition also helps to improvise.
For example, if you treat your melody, let's say like a hymn phrase, the first phrase of the hymn, this could be your theme. And your theme needs sometimes to appear in various voices and various keys, right? So basically, you need to, in your mind, to transpose up or down that phrase. And that's where transposition is very handy.
Yeah, so it's sort of a skill that you will never regret or having, because it will become useful at some point, especially if you are accompanying soloists and choirs, because sometimes we sing in one key and then the next day we are, for example, in a bad shape and we want to sing it lower, so you can do it easily by transposing it down.
And of course, Trina wants to improvise those hymns with ease, not only transpose, but improvise. And that's a related skill, but takes it some steps further, right? There are various forms and various styles to improvise, each of them more difficult than the other, for example. But the easiest one is probably to do two-part hymn playing. Right hand takes the melody of the tune of the hymn, and left hand creates a counter melody, like a counterpoint. And not even with small notes, fast notes, but just note against note. One note of the right hand part has one note of the left hand part. And using only sweet sounding intervals, major or minor thirds, major or minor sixths, sometimes fifths and octaves, but without any parallel movement, only in contrary motion. So that's the first step in learning to improvise hymn-based material, to do note by note. And then when you get better after a month, right, you use two notes against one. And remember, sometimes the melody can appear in the right hand part and also in the left hand part. You switch parts. So, also, do we have any courses on this?
Yes, we do have.
We
Sure.
do have, and they're part of the Total Organist membership program, of course. And hymn improvisation level 1. That's the beginning of our basically these exercises that we're talking about, starting note against note and then going faster and faster and faster, and always switching hands. And this is a good place to start with hymn improvisation, I think. And another course for transposition, we have transposition for organist level 1 again, because obviously you need level 1 to start, and it starts with small intervals, with major and minor seconds, up or down, and very handy skill also, very practical courses. So we highly recommend you check out those 2 courses, but moreover, our Total Organist community members get them without any extra cost. So, Oshra, I think we have delighted our audience long enough today, and please send us more of your questions. We love helping you grow. And remember, when you practice,
Miracles happen.
this podcast is supported by Total Organist, the most comprehensive organ training program online.
It has hundreds of courses, coaching and practice materials for every area of organ playing. Thousands of instructional videos and PDFs. You will not find more value anywhere else online.
Total Organist helps you to master any piece, perfect your technique, develop your sight reading skills, improvise or compose your own music, and much, much more.
Sign up and begin your training today at organduo.lt and click on Total Organist. And of course, you will get the first month free too. You can cancel anytime.
If you like our organ music, you can also support us on Buy Me a Coffee platform.
Find out more at buymeacoffee.com/organduo.